Okay, so I will just start over. Introduction. I am a dietitian. I'm registered in the state of North Carolina. I'm a certified specialist in sports dietetics, and I am also an exercise physiologist certified with American College of Sports Medicine. I've worked 2 seasons with the Major League White Sox baseball club, and I've been in their minor league affiliate with 3 of their teams in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And so I've worked 2 seasons with them. I'm full-time employed with Total Nutrition Technology as a sports dietitian and work in all sports with all ages and different populations. I was also a faculty member and central campus dietitian for Western Carolina University for a number of years, in which I worked with about 500 student athletes in 14 different sports. And I have a base of athleticism in volleyball, track as a 1400 or 400 meter and 1600 meter runner, and dance. So that's kind of my background in athletics. So what we're going to review tonight is some travel tips for swimmers and just some things that you want to know before you go in terms of planning with your travel nutrition and how to eat on the run, how to focus on your meals and make optimal choices. So how to make that a focus in your planning, what kind of options that are available for snacks. And this really kind of depends on your personal snack preferences. What are some really optimal things to pack in terms of what travels well? What kinds of things are going to work for you while you're moving from one place to the other? And then hydration, as this can be affected by climate changes when athletes are moving from one location to another, especially as it relates to altitude, temperature, and humidity. And then keeping up with energy needs, which is a definite challenge for athletes as they're going from their home base to visiting teams. And that is also something that we want to really hone in on in terms of planning well. So in terms of, knowing before you go, it's really important to kind of make sure that you have a good plan in place. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So we've all heard that, but it is really a central component of eating well on the road. Looking ahead so that you don't have to rely on roadside stops and making sure that you're fueling around the schedule of your competition. So the timing of your eating is so centrally important to what types of events that you are going to be competing in, and making sure that you're timing your pre-competition and potentially between events fueling well so that you don't end up losing your performance capabilities. Making sure that you're packing plenty of fluids for the trip, that you have the ability to stay hydrated, and you're also not as active during travel. And so your fueling requirements can change. Your energy levels or energy requirements, may be just slightly less. We definitely want to plan ahead. And so a sports dietitian is really the best person to help with this type of planning, because it does vary for individuals, and it also varies on the types of events that you may be swimming and what types of schedule that you're going to be maintaining during your travel. Knowing what you're going to be encountering on the road is also critical, because logistically, what restaurants are around, what types of food options are you going to have? And those are also really important questions to answer before you get going. In terms of focus, we always want to have this focus on our plate and making sure that we're having balanced meals where we have the opportunity to eat a variety of foods, but things that would contain balanced protein and whole grains, plenty of fluids, and also healthy fats and fiber. In terms of the balance of these things, these are all nutrient dense foods. They contain adequate energy. They have lots of vitamins and minerals and variety of those things to enhance your performance and recovery. We need protein for muscle repair and recovery. We need complex carbs for energy and sustainable energy to meet the demands of your exercise and to also support refueling your muscle in recovery when you are completed. Low carbohydrate intake can decrease your ability to sustain heavy loads of exercise, high intensity performance. It can affect your mood, your mental acuity, and it can affect your power output. So we want to make sure that we have a variety of good complex carbohydrates. Hydration is going to enhance nutrient utilization. It's going to help absorb the nutrients that you're eating and transport these vital nutrients to your cells and to your tissues, and especially to your muscle. So it's important that we also train our stomach in practice, because you want to be able to tolerate these foods and fluids before you compete with these foods in your performance events. So it's always very important, especially in swimming, as one of those sports where it's total body using large muscle groups, and your digestive tract can be impacted by the movement in the water. So it's really important to practice what you're eating before you actually go into a competitive environment. Healthy fats and fiber are also extremely important. Fats are going to aid in thermoregulation and the regulation of body temperature. They also provide satiety when you're eating, and fiber is going to lead to a sense of fullness, as well as establish regular elimination patterns and bowel habits so that you can maintain a healthy gut. When we are talking about options, we don't want to make it complicated. We want to keep things simple. We want to make it easy. The last thing that you want to do is start to get overwhelmed by the fact that nutrition needs to be a central part of your performance plan. So we want to just make sure that you're keeping a good list of foods to transport and carry. Again, planning, looking ahead. And this is a winning strategy, just keeping things that you personally like or your athletes like to eat that would contain these essential macronutrients that are so important for performance. Carbohydrate is going to make up the most of your diet. This is going to be dependent on the swimming event. The amount that you need is going to be dependent on the swimming event, the time between the events, and the length of the training and competition that an athlete is doing. And then you also want to make sure that you're choosing really high quality carbohydrates. And what we mean by that is nutrient dense, so that when you're eating them, we're not just eating cheap carbs that have calories, but no vital nutrition. And so we have listed some things here that would just be some good additions. Very simple, obviously, shelf stable. These are not things that are going to perish quickly. And so they would be great things to travel with. Protein is also going to provide the building blocks for muscle mass. It's going to help with healthy growth and development. And timing protein intake, again, is very important. So we want to make sure that we're aiming to eat protein about every 3 hours throughout the day. And this could include 1 hour before bed. And then if you're eating more than your recommended amount of protein, this doesn't mean that you're going to build or add extra muscle any faster. It is really going to be dependent on a total eating plan. We want to add healthy fat as well. And as your training volume increases and your practice volume increases, your fat intake and the amount of fat that you eat will also need to increase to ensure that you're getting enough energy in your diet. So that's extremely important. We also want to make sure that we're keeping healthy snacks close by in a hotel room. This is obviously very important for recovery, ending the day after a performance event. I've listed some basic portion sizes here, but this just gives kind of an overview of various food groups. You see the variety of food groups here, the balance of food groups with fruit, dairy, meat and protein, and then veggies, and then plant-based fat with the nuts. And so being mindful of appropriate portions is also very important, but this can also give you a very good idea about how to balance your plate appropriately when you are choosing to balance your carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So what are you going to pack? Well, we definitely want to make sure that we're packing fluids, that we have plenty of water available. And once someone, if they are flying or traveling by plane, then we would want to make sure that we were passing through security and then, carrying our water bottle with us. Otherwise, making sure that we are traveling with water at all times. You can also include some electrolytes to add to the water. And since we tend to consume less water while traveling, this can also help to optimize hydration and fluid uptake when we have some electrolyte in the actual beverage that we're drinking. So that is something that would be also recommended. High carbohydrate and protein snacks that we mentioned already that are shelf stable. And if you're taking supplements and you take them regularly, these are also things to make sure that you have. These can be beneficial in maintaining gut balance in the case that you take probiotics, or that you have antioxidants in your vitamins on hand, so that can help enhance recovery as well. When we are traveling, we actually lose a lot more water, especially if we're changing altitude or if we're in lower humidity in environments that have lower humidity. So if you're flying on the plane, you can lose 3 to 10 ounces per hour. That's about 1 cup per hour. So we want to make sure that we're keeping up with that insensible water loss due to the low humidity on planes. You would carry a refillable water bottle if possible, but otherwise, as you know, these are always available. We just have to make sure that we're making the effort to drink them. Electrolytes are very important, key for staying hydrated during travel and throughout your trip. And dehydration can also increase jet lag, so that can affect performance and practices going into the next day or two after your travel. So that's another reason to make sure that you're really being diligent about drinking plenty of water and fluid. Keeping up with energy is a huge challenge. Energy demands for swimmers are very high. Typically, we would see these athletes in the water upwards of 4 hours a day. So energy demands can be quite elevated. It's important to make sure that you are trying to encourage athletes to really think about intuitively monitoring their hunger throughout the day, paying attention to their hunger and fullness signals. If someone is getting to the point where their stomach is growling, then they have waited way too long to eat. So really getting more in tune with your own body in terms of being able to recognize when you're getting hungry. Coming out of practices, swimmers tend to be very, very hungry. And so it's important to make sure that we're also hydrating well between events and or between segments in practice. We want to make sure that we're always eating the same types of things that we would normally eat at home. Don't try to be too adventurous while on the road, because this can cause a lot of gastric distress and unusual signs and symptoms of discomfort when someone is all of a sudden attempting to do something that they haven't necessarily practiced with. So the best idea is to, really think about slow fuel, sustained energy while you're traveling, eating whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, trail mixes, things that are energy dense, but also very nutritious, complex carbs, high quality proteins, and then, you know, making sure that you're always drinking plenty of fluids. Before working out or before competition, it's best to try to eat, you know, within 2 to 4 hours ahead. If you get too close into your event, you're definitely going to be using foods that are going to be easily digestible. So the following foods on this slide can give you a good idea of what some of those options would be. But certainly the ideal is to get a good complete meal 2 to 4 hours ahead. And then as you get closer into events, that you're eating things that are easily digestible with less fat and fiber, so that you can prevent GI distress, but also enhance energy utilization as you prepare for performance. These are some other snack ideas while you're traveling. These would be post-workout things. We always want to have that carbohydrate and protein combination coming out of a workout. We want to do this quickly within 30 to 45 minutes, that window of opportunity where an athlete's muscles are very metabolically active and they are absorbing the nutrition that you're feeding them very efficiently. So we're refueling the muscles, we're giving them the surge of energy that they need to be able to recover well and prevent any you know, lag in performance going forward into either repetitive events or into several days of competition or competitive environments. So now we want to look at a couple of case studies, and we're going to try to involve the audience in this. We're going to try to involve you in these case studies and kind of get your feedback and also share and kind of engage everybody in the conversation. So Michael is a freshman in college. He's traveling with his swim team for an away meet. And this is the first time he's in charge of his own nutrition and fueling since he started college. He's got to pack his own travel snacks that will help him fuel for practice and swim meets. And he needs to stay on top of hydration to ensure he doesn't get dehydrated. What are some snacks that Michael can pack to fuel on the go? What are some things that you feel like he could pack? He's obviously not very experienced doing this. He's probably feeling a little overwhelmed. It's the first time that he's been out on his own doing this. So what are your ideas about how you might advise Michael to pack for his trip? And if anyone has any answers, I'd love for you to put them in the chat. How can we ensure that he's adequately hydrated at all times? And, you know, we're usually traveling with our team, so we have the ability to, you know, work with others and also plan as a team, but it's really important to kind of get a good feel for other ways that, you know, he can ensure his own hydration. So we had some answers: cheese sticks, hard-boiled eggs, you know, making sure that he's packing a water bottle and keeping it filled all the time, but also drinking it. And, you know, I often tell athletes just take big gulps of fluid. 1 gulp is equal to 1 ounce typically. So if you can just, you know, focus on every 10, 15 minutes, getting a couple of gulps in, then you're consuming about 8 fluid ounces per hour. So that's also a good strategy to make sure that athletes are drinking consistently and actually taking advantage of the fluid that they're drinking. Someone else mentioned fruits for hydration as well. That is a great suggestion. We have fruits and vegetables and foods that are also have water in them. And so that is a really wonderful way to also complement drinking fluids. And what kind of foods should Michael focus on? Not just snacks, but whole foods. We had some examples of granola bars, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so these are all very simple things that a college student not only would have access to, but would be able to carry, and that would not be perishable. All right, we're going to quickly look at case study number 2. Lauren is a junior high school student, so she's a little younger than a collegiate student. She swims the freestyle 400 meter. The team mom usually packs her snacks and water for her swim meets, but this weekend the team is in charge of their own snacks and hydration since they will be flying. This is the first time she's had to pack for herself and she's feeling overwhelmed. She needs to be sure she has nutritious snacks. So what are some fueling items Lauren should bring with her? And this is a great example because we want to start to prepare our younger students as athletes to become nutritionally aware, to be able to, listen to the signals that their, individual body is telling them, and also adhere to their own preferences. So, I don't know if you remember when your mom and dad, cooked for you, that it wasn't always your pick. So it's nice when, athletes reach the age where they can start making their own choices, but also encouraging them to try to do things that are going to be most beneficial. So we had a suggestion for carbohydrates and protein that are packed with nutrients. Those are great suggestions. Beef jerky, dried fruit snacks, trail mixes. These are all very good options that also contain some electrolytes, as in the beef jerky. So, it's never a bad idea to have athletes, especially in their pre-fueling, to eat a little bit more electrolyte dense foods as well. So that's a really great suggestion. And snack combinations are definitely going to be things that we want to focus on before, during, and after. So things that would be good before we go in, obviously timing that well so that we can, maximize digestion and, comfort level going into the pool. And then also during and between events, as well as post competitive phases or practices. So there would be some variations in that. And the best way to get some ideas about this are definitely to involve a sports dietitian into this conversation with your athletes. So what are some questions that you might ask yourself? How are you eating per day on travel days? You'll most likely to need to consume less on travel days since you're not moving as much. Are the snacks you packed well-rounded? So do they include fats, carbs, and protein? Have you planned out restaurants and grocery stores to logistically find out where food can be located around your practice facilities? Are you sticking to your normal routine? It's best not to try to change that up right before you compete. And are you sticking to your hydration and sleep goals? So these are just some of the action steps, prioritizing hydration and energy at the very top, being, kind of the number one focuses for optimal performance. Stick to what you're doing at home, packing a variety of snacks that are well balanced, and scheduling your fueling around travel and competition. If you click on the QR code here, you'll see a great one-page handout for traveling nutrition. This would be a great thing to share with your athletes and maybe with other staff to help them identify some ways to support athletes nutritionally when they are traveling. Every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. And so we always want to be mindful of that. And, things are going to happen. We're going to have days where we feel like we failed or we haven't planned as well. But the idea is that you just learn from those things and, keep getting better at it. We want to tell you about our one-to-one sports nutrition coaching. My sports dietitian offers these services. We have amazing dietitians that are available to help your athletes. And you can see the things that we try to work with them around managing body weight, pre-game meal planning, daily nutritional strategies, focused on individualized goals, personalized supplement protocols as needed or necessary or recommended, and weekly check-in with the sports nutrition coach. We're offering a free trial for 2 weeks so that this is something that you can see if it might be beneficial for you or your athletes. And you can also click on the QR code to learn more about that today. We have some references here at the end of the PowerPoint, and I'll be happy to open it up for just a few questions since we're running a little bit behind with the lag start at the beginning. I appreciate your patience with that. It's been great to connect with you tonight. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them now. Okay, well, I don't see anything coming up, but we appreciate you joining in with us tonight. We really do thank you for your time and your energy, and we hope that if you need anything, you will reach out and ask us. We are always willing to talk to you and your athletes. Thank you so much.